Welcome to our deep dive today. It's into the world of emotional intelligence. We'll be exploring Daniel Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence, together.
And this book is really so much more than just a typical self-help guide.
It really is.
It's like he's giving us this map of the human experience,
Yeah,
blending science and these really captivating stories with practical wisdom.
it's a really good blend.
Yeah.
So get ready, everyone, because we're about to uncover the surprising power of emotions
And how they shape our lives.
in ways you might not expect.
Yeah, it's interesting how Goleman starts his book with the story about a New York City bus driver
Oh, yeah.
who has this infectious positivity. He walks onto the bus and suddenly his mood sprints to everyone and the passengers start smiling, feeling lighter. It's a simple example, but it just shows how powerful this idea is of what Goleman calls emotional contagion.
Right.
This almost invisible ripple effect that our emotions have on the people around us.
It's like we're all connected by these unseen emotional threads, constantly influencing and being influenced by each other.
Yeah.
And this ripple effect, it goes beyond just like fleeting moods.
Right.
Goleman argues that emotions are actually driving forces behind some of the most profound human actions.
Right.
He even uses the example of a parent sacrificing their life to save their child.
Yeah, think about that for a second. It's not logic.
No.
It's pure, raw emotion.
Right.
Love so powerful that it completely overrides the instinct for self-preservation.
It really changes our understanding of how emotions work.
Yeah.
We often think of emotions as these irrational things that get in the way of clear thinking.
Right.
But Goleman's suggesting they're much more complex
Right.
and influential than that. I'm starting to see why he calls this emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
It's like there's this whole other intelligence at play.
Exactly.
One that's just as important as our IQ, maybe even more so.
Hmm.
So how does Goleman connect these powerful emotions to the science of the brain?
Well, he challenges the traditional view of intelligence by saying that we actually have two minds at work, the rational mind and the emotional mind.
Okay.
And these two minds are constantly interacting,
Okay. Two minds.
shaping our thoughts, our behaviors, and choices in ways that we don't always realize.
So it's not just about feelings, but actual processes happening in our brains.
Exactly. Think about the feeling of anger.
Okay.
Goleman explains that when we experience anger, there's this whole cascade of biological events that are happening.
Wow.
Blood flows to our hands, our heart rate increases, adrenaline surges through our body.
It's like our body's preparing for action before we've even consciously decided what to do.
Exactly.
And this physical response is driven by signals from our emotional mind. So how does this emotional mind actually work? What parts of the brain are involved?
Well, Goleman dives deep into the neuroscience of emotions,
Okay.
highlighting the amygdala, a small almond-shaped structure deep within the brain.
Okay.
And the amygdala acts like an emotional sentinel, constantly scanning for threats and triggering rapid responses sometimes before our conscious mind even registers what's happening.
That's incredible.
It's also where emotional memories are stored, meaning that our past experiences can shape our reactions in the present.
So we might be reacting to situations based on past emotional memories without even realizing it.
Exactly.
It's like our emotions have a mind of their own.
Right.
That's a powerful insight, and it leads us to Goleman's central concept, emotional intelligence, or EQ.
Mm-hmm.
He defines EQ as the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our emotions,
Right.
both our own and those of others.
Yeah.
It's about being self-aware, being able to control impulses, having empathy, and navigating social situations effectively.
Right.
So it's not just about being smart in the traditional sense, but about being emotionally smart.
Yeah.
But why does this matter so much? How does EQ actually impact our lives?
Well, Goleman argues that EQ is often a stronger predictor of success and well-being than IQ. And he highlights a study that followed Harvard graduates over several decades.
Oh, wow.
And they found that the most successful graduates weren't necessarily the ones with the highest IQ scores,
Interesting.
but those with higher levels of emotional intelligence.
That's really surprising. So book smarts aren't the only ingredient in the recipe for success. He also talks about a man named Elliot, right? What can we learn from his story?
Elliot's story is a powerful illustration of why emotional intelligence is so crucial. He had brain surgery that left him incredibly intelligent from a cognitive perspective,
Okay.
but it also damaged his emotional capacity.
Wow.
He became emotionally detached,
Okay.
unable to connect with his own feelings or empathize with others.
That sounds incredibly difficult. So even with a brilliant mind, his life became a struggle.
Exactly. Despite his high IQ, Elliot's life fell apart. He couldn't make sound decisions, he lost his job, his marriage crumbled, and he ended up living with his brother, unable to manage his own life.
It's a tragic example of what happens when the rational mind is operating without the guidance and wisdom of the emotional mind.
Yeah,
It really highlights the interconnectedness of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors.
right.
We can't separate them. They're all part of what makes us human. So if emotional intelligence is so important, where do we begin? What's the first step in developing this EQ?
Well, Goleman emphasizes self-awareness as the foundation of emotional intelligence.
Okay.
It's the ability to recognize and understand your own emotions as they're happening.
So it's about tuning into our own inner world, becoming more aware of those subtle shifts in our emotional landscape. But what if we struggle to identify our emotions? What if we're not even sure what we're feeling?
While Goleman talks about a condition called alexithymia, which literally means no words for feelings,
Oh, wow.
people with alexithymia have difficulty identifying and describing their emotions, and this can lead to significant challenges in their relationships and social interactions.
So they're experiencing emotions, but they lack the vocabulary or the awareness to express them.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's almost like they're emotionally mute.
Right. And it highlights the importance of developing our emotional literacy, expanding our vocabulary of feelings, and becoming more attuned to the nuances of our emotional experience. But it's not just about recognizing any emotion. Goleman contrasts alexithymia with people who are highly sensitive to their emotions, even suggesting that this sensitivity might be a source of creative energy.
So being in touch with our emotions, even the difficult ones, could be a pathway to greater creativity and self-expression.
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Think about artists, musicians, writers. They often draw inspiration from their own emotional depths, transforming those feelings into powerful works of art. But it's not enough to simply be aware of our emotions. The next crucial step in developing emotional intelligence is learning to manage those emotions effectively.
That makes sense. It's like we're building a house. Self-awareness is the foundation, but we need strong walls and a sturdy roof to weather the storms.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we go about mastering our emotions, especially those strong ones like anger, anxiety, and sadness?
That's where self-regulation comes in.
Okay.
Goleman dives deep into the art and science of managing these powerful emotions, offering practical strategies that are backed by research.
Okay.
He talks about the importance of cognitive reframing, which is essentially changing the way we think about a situation to change how we feel about it.
So instead of getting caught up in our initial emotional reaction, we take a step back and try to see the situation from a different perspective.
Exactly. For example, if you're feeling angry, Goleman suggests trying to understand the situation from the other person's point of view.
Okay.
This can help us cool down, see the bigger picture, and respond in a more constructive way.
It sounds like it takes a lot of practice to master this kind of emotional self-control. It's not about suppressing our emotions, but about becoming the conductor of our emotional orchestra, so to speak.
It's a great analogy. And it's an ongoing process,
Right.
not a one-time fix. Goleman emphasizes that developing self-regulation is a lifelong journey of learning, experimenting, and refining our ability to manage our emotional responses.
This is all so insightful. I'm starting to see how understanding and managing emotions is crucial for our overall well-being. But what about achieving our goals and reaching our full potential? Does emotional intelligence play a role there?
Absolutely. Goleman introduces this concept of flow as a state of effortless absorption
Okay.
and peak performance where we're completely immersed in what we're doing. It's those moments when we lose track of time
Right.
because we're so engaged and energized by the task at hand.
It's like being in the zone, right? When everything
Yeah.
just clicks.
Yeah.
We're performing at our best.
Yeah.
And it feels almost effortless.
And Goleman emphasizes that flow arises when we find that perfect balance between challenge and skill. It's not about doing easy things.
Right. What about pushing ourselves just outside our comfort zone, where our skills are stretched but not overwhelmed?
So it's about finding those activities that are both challenging and rewarding.
Yeah.
Activities that ignite our passion and allow us to tap into our full potential.
Exactly. And when we're in flow, not only do we perform better, but we also experience a deep sense of enjoyment and fulfillment.
Yeah.
It's about finding that sweet spot where challenge and skill intersect,
Right.
where we're fully engaged, energized, and operating at our peak.
This is so fascinating. I love how Goleman connects emotional intelligence not just to our well-being, but also to our ability to thrive and achieve our goals. But before we delve further into this idea of flow, I think it's a good place to pause for now. We've covered so much ground already, from the power of emotions to the importance of self-awareness, self-regulation, and this incredible concept of flow. Join us next time as we continue to explore the depths of emotional intelligence with Daniel Goleman.
Welcome back.
Oh,
When we left off, we were talking about this idea of flow.
right. That state of complete absorption and peak performance.
Yeah. And I think it's a great example of how emotional intelligence can really unlock our potential, not just in those creative endeavors, but like in any area of life where
Yeah.
we're striving for excellence.
Exactly, and Goleman doesn't stop there.
No, he doesn't.
He goes on to explore how emotions play out in our relationships and social interactions.
It does.
He introduces this fascinating concept of emotional contagion.
Oh, yeah, right.
Remember that bus driver we talked about?
I do.
Well, Goleman uses that story to show how our emotions can be as contagious as a virus,
Really?
spreading from person to person,
Wow.
shaping the atmosphere of entire groups without us even consciously realizing it.
It makes you wonder how often we're picking up on the emotional states of other people without even knowing it.
Right.
Is it possible to even become more aware of this emotional exchange that's happening?
Absolutely. Goleman suggests paying closer attention to those nonverbal cues like facial expressions,
Right.
tone of voice, body language.
Okay.
These subtle signals often reveal more about a person's emotional state than their words do.
It's like we're all sending out these emotional broadcasts even if we're not aware of it.
Yeah.
So if we can become more attuned to those signals,
Right.
we can better understand the emotional landscape of our interactions.
Exactly. And Goleman takes this idea even a step further, suggesting that when people are emotionally in sync,
Yep.
they often unconsciously mirror each other's movements.
Oh, wow.
They might nod their heads at the same time, shift in their chairs together, or even rock in sync.
So our bodies are literally reflecting that emotional connection.
It's fascinating.
And we're looking for that now.
Yeah.
Those subtle signs of emotional synchronicity. But Goleman doesn't just focus on these individual interactions, does he?
No, he doesn't.
He expands his scope to look at emotional intelligence on a larger social scale.
Right. He introduces the concept of social intelligence, which is basically EQ applied to the social realm.
Okay.
It's the ability to understand and manage social situations effectively, build rapport, influence people, and navigate conflict smoothly.
So it's like taking all of those individual EQ skills, self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and applying them to our interactions with others.
Exactly.
Getting more adept at navigating the complexities of the social world.
Right. And Goleman provides several examples of socially intelligent behaviors,
Like what?
like being able to negotiate solutions, recognize social cues, adapt communication styles, and inspire others.
Okay.
It's about being attuned to the social dynamics of a situation and responding in a way that fosters connection and understanding. He even tells the story about a group of Buddhist monks in Vietnam
Oh, yeah.
who used their calm presence to de-escalate a violent confrontation with soldiers.
That's incredible. It really shows how mastering our own emotions can have that ripple effect,
Yeah.
influencing the emotional state of others and even diffusing aggression. But what about the flip side? What happens when someone lacks this social intelligence?
Well, Goleman highlights the challenges faced by individuals who struggle with social intelligence. He mentions a man named Cecil, who, despite being intelligent and capable, had this awkwardness that made people uncomfortable.
Okay.
He missed social cues, made inappropriate comments, and often created tension without intending to.
It sounds like he lacked that emotional radar that allows us to navigate social situations smoothly,
Yeah.
understanding those unspoken rules and expectations that govern our interactions.
That's a great way to put it, and it highlights the importance of social awareness, which is a key component of social intelligence.
Yeah.
It's about being able to read the room, pick up on those subtle social cues, and adjust our behavior accordingly.
So we've explored the individual and the social aspects of emotional intelligence.
Oh, we have.
But Goleman doesn't stop there, does he?
He doesn't.
He takes his exploration even further, looking at the implications of emotional intelligence for society as a whole,
Right.
especially in the realm of education.
Right. He raises some concerns about the rising rates of emotional problems in children and adolescents.
Like,
He points to the increasing prevalence of aggression, depression, anxiety, and substance abuse
oh, wow.
among young people, suggesting that we're not doing enough to equip them with the emotional skills they need to thrive in today's world.
Like we're sending them out into the world without the emotional armor they need to face the inevitable challenges and stresses of life.
It's a crucial point. Goleman argues that our education systems often neglect the emotional realm,
Yeah.
focusing primarily on those cognitive skills and academic achievement.
Right.
And this leaves children ill-prepared to deal with the complexities of human relationships, the pressures of social media, and the ever-increasing demands of modern life.
He makes a really strong case for incorporating emotional literacy programs into the curriculum, doesn't he?
He does.
Programs that specifically teach children about emotions, how to manage them, and how to build healthy relationships.
Absolutely. He sees emotional literacy as a fundamental aspect of education,
Right.
just as important as reading, writing, and math. And he highlights the effectiveness of several existing programs like self-science
Okay.
and the social competence program,
Okay.
which have shown promising results in reducing emotional problems and fostering those social and emotional skills in children.
That's encouraging to hear. Can you give us some examples of what these programs actually teach children?
Sure, they cover a wide range of topics,
Okay.
from recognizing and labeling feelings to managing anger and stress, developing empathy, resolving conflicts peacefully, and making responsible decisions.
Wow, that's a lot.
One example Goleman mentions is the cooperation squares game,
Okay.
where children work together in silence to solve a puzzle.
Oh, wow.
It teaches them about teamwork and nonverbal communication.
That's great.
Another activity is the feelings faces lesson, where children learn to identify and name different emotions by looking at pictures of facial expressions.
Those sound like really engaging and fun ways to learn about emotions.
They do.
It's not just about sitting in lectures, but about experiencing those concepts firsthand through interactive activities. But implementing these emotional literacy programs on a large scale probably faces some challenges, right?
Definitely. Goleman acknowledges hurdles like parental concerns about schools delving into personal topics,
Right.
teacher resistance to adding new material to already packed curriculums,
Yeah.
and the need for quality control to ensure the programs are effective.
He also emphasizes the importance of involving parents and communities.
Right, it does.
It's not just about what happens in the classroom,
Yeah.
but about creating a culture of emotional intelligence that extends beyond the school walls.
Absolutely. He stresses that fostering emotional literacy requires a collaborative effort,
Yeah.
involving parents, teachers, and communities working together to support children's emotional development.
So it's about creating an environment where emotional intelligence is valued and nurtured both at home and at school. It's a
Exactly.
pretty big shift from that traditional focus on academic achievement.
It is.
But it sounds like a crucial shift if we want to raise emotionally healthy and resilient children
Yeah.
who are equipped to navigate the complexities of the 21st century.
Right.
And I think that brings us to a perfect stopping point for this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Next time, we'll wrap things up with some final thoughts and key takeaways from Daniel Goleman's Emotional Intelligence. Welcome back to our deep dive into emotional intelligence. As we wrap up our exploration of Daniel Goleman's work, I'm curious to hear what's resonated most with you. What are some of the key takeaways that have stood out?
Well, one thing that strikes me is that Goleman doesn't just present emotional intelligence as this fixed trait. He emphasizes that it's a set of skills
Okay.
that can be learned and developed throughout life. It's this ongoing process of self-discovery and refinement.
That's a really empowering message. It means we're not stuck with our current emotional patterns,
Right.
even those we developed early in life. We actually have the capacity to change and grow, to become more emotionally intelligent no matter where we're starting from.
Exactly. And he provides all these practical tools and strategies for, enhancing our emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Things like cognitive reframing, mindfulness techniques, and communication skills.
And he supports those strategies with solid research and real life examples.
Exactly.
So it's not just this theoretical concept, but an actual roadmap for personal growth and transformation.
Right.
And it's not about becoming some emotionless robot, Rado.
Yeah.
It's about embracing the full spectrum of human emotions,
Yeah.
recognizing their power and learning to use them wisely.
Absolutely. Goleman acknowledges the importance of all emotions, even those challenging ones like anger, anxiety, and sadness.
Right.
And he dives into those complexities,
Yeah.
offering practical guidance for navigating them in a healthier way.
He also emphasizes the broader implications of emotional intelligence, extending its relevance beyond individual well-being to the success of organizations,
Yeah.
even societies as a whole.
Yeah. Right. Goleman paints this picture of emotionally intelligent workplaces where empathy, collaboration, and open communication are truly valued.
Yeah.
And he highlights the need for leaders who are not just intellectually brilliant,
Right.
but also emotionally intelligent, able to inspire and motivate others,
Yeah.
build strong teams, and make those sound decisions under
And
pressure.
it's a call for like a paradigm shift,
Ah,
recognizing the importance of emotional intelligence in all areas of human endeavor.
right.
And this vision extends to the realm of education as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Gorman argues very passionately for incorporating emotional literacy into education, equipping children with the emotional skills they need to thrive in today's complex world.
And it's not just about preventing problems. It's about cultivating those positive qualities like empathy, resilience, self-awareness, and compassion. It's about empowering children to become emotionally healthy and resilient individuals who can navigate life's challenges and contribute to a more harmonious world.
Exactly. It's about planting the seeds of emotional intelligence that will blossom into a more compassionate and fulfilling future.
This deep dive into emotional intelligence has been incredibly insightful. As we conclude, what final thought would you like to leave our listeners with?
I encourage you to contemplate your own emotional habits.
Okay.
Are there any patterns that you notice that might be hindering your well-being or success?
Yeah.
Perhaps a tendency to get overwhelmed by anger,
Mm-hmm.
or a habit of suppressing emotions. Whatever it may be, Goleman's work reminds us that we have the power to change, to learn, and to grow emotionally.
So the lifelong journey.
Exactly, of self-discovery and transformation.
That's a beautiful invitation, a reminder that it's never too late to embark on this path of emotional intelligence. And I would add that understanding and managing our emotions isn't about denying or suppressing them,
Right.
but about embracing the full spectrum of human experience.
Yeah.
It's about learning to use our emotions wisely, harnessing their power to create a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it's inspired you to explore the fascinating world of emotional intelligence
Yeah.
and to continue this journey of self-discovery.